Hey everyone, it's Noel from the Enduro Bureau, and just before we get started with this week's episode, I want to let you all know that the 2024 Team Canada ISDE Gold Fund raffle is getting underway this week. There's going to be 750 tickets available. There'll be 6 winners, and there's 6 prize packs up for grabs, including 2 separate 2024 Husqvarna TE 150 bikes, an FXR Moto gear kit, a Callus Moto gear kit, an M7 Designs graphics kit, and a Podium graphics kit, all up for grabs. If you're interested in getting in on the raffle and supporting the team this year, head on over to Canadian_ISDE on Instagram, or you can buy tickets from any Canadian team member. And if you don't know any and you want to get involved, you can reach out to Renee at isdegoldfundcnd@gmail.com. Tickets will be on sale until the raffle is drawn at the Corduroy Enduro on September 21st. So don't miss out on your chance to get one of these wicked prizes and support Team Canada ISDE. Thanks a lot, and now, on to the episode. Hey, it's Noel from the Enduro Bureau once again. Hey, I'm here with both my partners in crime again. Courtney Schmally, what the heck is going on?
Woo woo! I'm back in action, guys. I just had to disappear and go away to work for a while, but we're back. We're back.
Nice. And how was that work trip? Busy? From what you
Yeah, I was gone for 10 days. It was super busy. I was putting in 14-hour days. Like, it was so busy. But you know what? It's worth it. You try to fit in like a month's worth of clients into, just over a week's time. And so you can still continue building your other businesses. And it's just kind of what you got to do. But by the end of it, man, I was bagged and ready to get back to normal routine.
Were you so bagged that you did not miss Jared?
I did miss Jared. It's always hard being away, but the sacrifices, right? We got to do what we got to do, and also I get to see my family too at the same time because they're all back in Red Deer, so that's always nice. But we're reunited again.
Reunited, and it feels so good.
You remember that song? They called it Puppy Love. No. Anyway,
Wow.
I'm gonna like not ever be a singer. Jared, how are you, man?
Good. I feel like we were just on here a couple of days ago, but it's been a hot minute, and it's going good. I'm just looking at the cow poopy I have on my pants that I haven't changed out of from work yet. So
to the cow poopy.
Oh, this is for context. Where does that cow poop come from, other than like the cow's butt?
Yeah, it's biology, man. The grass goes in their mouth and gets digested and comes out.
Thanks,
I had
Professor.
I had a funny story once that a buddy of mine was like, we used to work on these things together, and he's like, "Well, it's just cow crap. It's just grass." And he's like, "It's nothing crazy." And I'm like, "So if a human ate grass and pooped it out, you'd be fine with that?" And they're like, "Good point. It's gross."
Yeah,
But
just
I
because
don't
cows have
actually-
another stomach or 3 doesn't make it any better.
4.
It's a better
4.
filtration system.
Yeah.
And I actually don't get in it too often anymore. Just, if I could go on a rant, it would be when you bring your things in to get them worked on at a motorcycle shop,
Clean them.
maybe don't have them covered in cow poopy.
This is more like ATVs, I'm guessing.
No, this was a dirt bike tire.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Gross. Yeah, how's those things off? Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Because like, with a tire, I got to spray it with soapy water to add the lubrication to get the tire off, and then it becomes wet poopy. And it's not good.
Gross. I worked in a shop once where we did charge a cleaning fee. Like if it came in, it was dirty. Like we charged an extra 30
That's
minutes.
a good
of shop
idea.
time.
Yeah, but then because our business is primarily 90% ag, we'd probably go out of business. They'd probably leave us.
Yeah, exactly.
So we just
you guys just need a huge high pressure washer or something.
Yeah, and
quickly blast it off.
Some cheap labor to keep.
There you go.
Things.
Just gotta find some
Anybody
kids,
needs
man.
a job, you let me know.
Job spraying.
Medicine Hat, Alberta.
Let's go. So
what's going on with you?
Oh, dude, what's not going on? Well, Jared and I mean, we all were traveling last week. So,
Yeah.
Jared, I don't know if this was last minute or not. You
It,
went to Manitoba for the Prairie Sprint Enduro.
yeah, it was pretty much as last minute as a 11-hour drive gets for a race. We had talked about going for quite some time, and I work on Saturdays. The Saturdays that we don't have a race series going on, so I was not planning on attending as per usual. And then it was the long weekend, and on Thursday evening ish, we kind of clued into my head that I wasn't actually working on Saturday. So my cousin Ryan and I were like, "Well, let's do it." So he showed up the next day at about 5 o'clock. I ended off from work at 6, and we hit the road. We drove all night and had a quick little nap before for getting there. But yeah, it's a far drive. It was probably 11 hours or so,
What
not
time did
including
you leave?
stops. About 7 p.m.
PM. Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's normal for us though. We're always like that, leaving late hours of the night, traveling anywhere.
I can't do it. I'd rather get up at like 3 and start driving.
Yeah, except for we had to be there by like my
Yeah.
cousin's kid came with, and his class was supposed to be racing by like 7 8, or like riders meeting was at 7:45. So
Ugh.
like
So
even if we
you
drove
guys did
straight
not
there,
have like an 11-hour drive. You did not have a lot of leeway there.
no, we had to pray that nothing went wrong with the old rig on the way there. We took a minivan and a trailer, so worked
Yeah.
out.
Well, that's good. How did it go?
Oh, it was pretty rad. So they had 2 full days of crazy rain. So the moisture was there, and the facility is actually like a retired cross country ski facility where they've hosted like the Pan Am Games,
What's
like
it called?
Birch ski
Hmm,
area.
hmm.
It's in Rosalie, Manitoba. And yeah, so it's hard to pinpoint on a map, but it's like somewhere in the center between Brandon and Winnipeg, and then directly south. We're only like not even an hour from the border, so pretty far south in Manitoba. And then
The
um
Minnesota or the North
we
Dakota border?
North Dakota.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we rolled in there. We grabbed a hotel just to have a couple hour, try to get a 2 hours of decent snoozing. And we showed up in the morning, and they actually ended up having a bit of a rain delay because of how wet it was, trying to get everybody's rigs and everything in there. And yeah, we got there probably around 11. We forgot about the time change. We were like really behind schedule.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And then, yeah, like literally as Ryan was trying to find a parking spot or waiting in line for the park rigs to get towed in, I jumped out and sprinted the enduro test, which took me probably the better part of an hour to walk it, just so I wasn't going into it blind.
Yep.
And yeah, I was just had a I was pretty excited as soon as I got out there and walked it. It's such a cool location, and the trail, like they pretty much built almost a fresh enduro test through it.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, it was pretty rad. So such a cool spot to have a dirt bike race.
Did you get a sight lap?
They did give us sight laps, yeah.
That's good. So yeah, talk about it. Like, you guys run a sprint enduro series here in Alberta. You're looking to take it maybe a little wider geographically next year. Like, what were your thoughts on that? Like, what was the turnout like? How did the courses compare?
Their turnout was actually great. More than we get in Alberta
Amazing.
here. Yeah, they
Awesome.
had 161 on day one,
Right on.
and this is their second year doing it, but only maybe the second event. I think they did one or two events last year,
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they did
and
one, as I recall, but
Just
yeah,
the
maybe
one,
just the
yeah,
one
that
Yeah.
in
was
September.
September. Yeah.
Yeah, so this would have been their second event for the sprint enduro stuff, and they had an enduro test and a cross test. Enduro test on pro time was, I never did get the kilometers, but pro time on enduro test was around 8.5 minutes to start the day,
oh, perfect.
and the cross test was like 11 minutes to
Oh,
start the day.
wow.
So really long cross test, a mix of some really sweet grass track and then just some faster quad trail stuff through the woods.
Yep.
And with the moisture on day one, it got super beat, like super quick. The ruts, like when I walked it, it was like pristine. It didn't look that like it would get like that, but the moisture was
Yeah.
so saturated into the ground that the ruts were like like a foot deep, foot and a half deep in some of the turns, like just trying to get up hills and stuff. So
Epic.
yeah, it was interesting. And then yeah, the way they run their series is they have a kind of a free for all, so that the kids, they separate some classes off in the morning, like the youth and some of the beginner classes, and then
Yep.
everybody else goes in the afternoon. It's a free for all, so to speak. Like they open the tests and you have a 3 hour window to, or 2 or 3 hour window to do all 6 tests.
Crazy. Like when you say 6 tests, like 6 cross, 6
3 and
enduro,
3.
or 3 and 3.
3 and 3, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
And then yeah, it's a bit of a strategy when it comes to trying to pinpoint when you should go do your test, because there's 100 people out there
Yep.
of varying classes. So the first day I was trying to figure out like what the best strategy was, and let people go to let them get all their tests out of the way, and then smash it out when there's less people on the course. And so I really didn't want to run into any bottlenecks, or having to pass 10 people a test would be just a bit disadvantage
Yeah.
when it comes down to that. Well, sprint enduro coming down to seconds, right? So yeah, so the first day I did my enduro test right away. And actually, no, I didn't. I waited for probably 20, 30 people to go through the test, and then I went and did it.
Got to
And
be
I
in a
just,
line.
yeah, I thought maybe it would, beat in a line, expose some roots, stuff like that, so I could
Yep.
see a bit better. And by the time I went, it was already so rutted that I was like, oh, but by the end of today, this thing's going to be so beat and slow. So I
Yeah.
just kept lining up and smashing out my enduro tests.
Yep.
And yeah, I did end up I got caught in a couple, some backlogs in the enduro test where people weren't able to get through.
Yeah.
Um, I had
Bottlenecks.
a couple tests I had canceled when there was a rider down with a medic on the course, so we had to cancel the
Oh.
test. So we sat there, and then there was another bottleneck where you couldn't get by the two riders that were stuck in a mud puddle.
Oh no.
And so I just got off and rode their bikes out, like dumped their bikes out of the mud and
Oh.
rode them out. So they canceled that test, and so I ended up doing 4 and 4.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was riding pretty fun, and they got some fast guys there too, and so it was good to battle it out. And then day 2, the conditions were just primo, and the enduro test actually got even funner somehow after all the ruts. Like, man, it was you could not have had a better day on the Sunday. Like, the course conditions were just primo. The enduro test was like a mix of good tech and speed, and the cross test it had some decent traction. The first day, the cross test was super slippery, like almost unaware of how slippery it was.
Yeah.
It looked dry, but you'd come into a corner and just tap the brakes to try to slow down for the grass turn, and just
All of
you'd
a sudden
fly
you're
off the
sideways,
course.
you're gone.
Yeah, so I blew some tape. I admit it.
Hey, yep. You're that
And
guy.
yeah, and yeah, but it was good all in all. I mean, the cross test, I really liked going out there. I mean, one of the reasons we wanted to go out there was to check out the facility and get to meet everybody at the Prairie Sprint Enduro crew, because we want to do some collaboration on expanding our idea of a national sprint enduro series. So wanted to get out there and
Sick.
meet them and check out the facility. And in my opinion, it's A pluses, and we're on a good progression, and those folks are on a good progression as well to meet those kind of standards that we want to see if we put together a big series like that, or I should say when we do. And yeah, a couple things, widen out what we're going to widen out to some cross test stuff, some grass track. But other than that, like, they're so on it, they're super passionate, and that's the most important piece right now for sure, is just they're hungry and excited to keep going at it. So
That's awesome. I mean, yeah, if you're not passionate about it, you're probably doomed.
Yeah,
Like in anything, right?
exactly. And I think, you know, Troy Horbati ended up winning the race, and we don't get to race those guys very often. And I raced them in motocross last year, or maybe
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
At Drum?
Yeah, drum, and we had some good battles there, and so it was cool to have some good battles out at a sprint enduro in off-road format. And then I thought the coolest part of the weekend, as far as race attendance, was Tyler Gibbs showing up. You know, motocross, supercross guy.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't even recognize him when he pulled up in his van, and I was like, yeah, didn't even think about it. And then when he rolled up to the line, I was like, oh, no way, this is sweet. Like, what brings you out yonder, like out into the woods? So he was just saying, you know, talking to Tyler and, you know, mixing it up so you don't get burnt out in moto.
Yeah.
And he showed some super good progression for a guy on a full on motocross 450 out in the woods. He accelerated fast through the weekend. Obviously, tons of talent,
Yeah.
talented rider. So it
Clearly.
doesn't surprise me, but I loved it. It was cool to see a guy like that doing out there. And then same with the whole Ferguson crew.
Yeah.
Got
Oh,
to meet
good.
them.
Yeah. The Ferguson family was there. Right on.
Yeah, exactly. Got to meet them. I've never met them in person before, so
Such a great family.
Awesome.
Such a great family. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Fan.
got to meet them. Travis, the pops there, and he still rips too. And they had he had some good battle. I think he was like 5th or 6th overall on the day too. And yeah, super great. And then I always just ended the weekend putting a bug in their ear on all of them. You know, like off-road, the future.
It is the future. It's the niche.
Yeah. So
where's Tyler from?
BC, Abbotsford, I believe.
Yeah. That's wicked.
Yeah.
Well, super
cool. But he
cool.
is staying out in Manitoba in this time period, you know, with the nationals and everything.
Yeah.
So he happened to be out there, and he's going to do that sprint enduro. I believe he said he was also coming back for the September round.
Yeah. Oh, right on.
For that last sprint enduro too. So I'm super bummed we don't have more sprints here in Alberta for the rest of the season, because I'd love to invite some guys and gals out to do some more. But that's next year's plan.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I was super stoked. Like when I realized, I think I saw just you posted up a story on social media that you were going, and I was like, what the? As I'm sitting in this parking lot in Idaho. But yeah. So well, I guess why don't we'll get to my trip in a little bit, but let's just kind of go around the horn on, you know, what's been going on in the last week. I mean, a few different things, obviously. So FMSQ Round 3. On the women's side, Veronique is killing it. I think she's undefeated now through 3 rounds.
Oh, wow.
Veronique Pellier-Cheney, Phil's sister. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's like that family knows how to ride. On the men's side, the battles between Alexandre Goujon and Phil Cheney are epic. Last round it was Phil beating Alex. Round 1 it was Alex beating everybody. I think Phil was a little ways back in round 1.
Yeah, some crash for this.
And then this week they finished within, what was it, 2 seconds of each other. 2.5 seconds, I think was the finish difference.
I'll pull it up here, but I want to say 7, but they
7
were
maybe?
like,
oh, okay, yeah.
They were
maybe
like,
I was looking at the last lap time or something.
They were battling the whole time, I guess. Like every story I saw, they were like within a bike length of each other. But one lap it was Phil, one lap it was Alex.
Yeah, I mean, there's a French photographer, Lapostep, who's amazing.
Yes.
Like I've never met him, but does such great work and is living the FMSQ dream. And he was saying, like, yeah, he said they were both warriors, and that he couldn't believe that Alex won because he'd gone down and hurt his arm badly enough that he had to skip podiums and go straight to hospital. So I haven't got an update on what's going on there, but yeah, like podium pictures and stuff. It was just, he wasn't able to get there. Your boy Owen McKill, traveling from out west, picked up P4, so keeps moving up. He's right on
Owen.
Yeah, boy. He World Trophy Team rider. So yeah, I mean, great to see him being able to do that travel across the country. He's now tied Phil for cross country travel, so that's good.
Yeah.
But he's doing great. I think he's feeling good about his progression in the series. I just saw he posted up his heart rate data the other day in his story and like just pinned, right? Like,
Yeah.
just fully to the max. And then what was his average? I think it was like 183 or something like that, or
Yeah. I
for
looked
like
at the
3
general
hours,
trend line.
2 and 3/4
Yeah.
hours.
It was above 180 pretty much the entire time.
Yeah. I mean, just bananas, right? So,
That's
I
insane.
mean, you think about
Hardcore.
just racing on the threshold the whole time and going above it quite a bit too. Another
So-
tricky race, I think. Like, I think they had some moisture, some rain. They definitely had rain on the Saturday when the ATVs were racing. I think it dried up a bit on Sunday, but I'm sure the course was rowdy,
Yeah, it looked rowdy.
which
So
is I love.
for technical specs, he was 12 seconds on the overall behind, but just from the last lap.
Yeah.
But it was tight.
It was tight, like all day. I remember looking. Phil was leading for the first half, and then I was trying to figure out there wasn't an update on the live timing for a while, and I think I messaged you and said like, "Did Phil win?" Because there's nothing, and then it came back, and I was like, "Oh, okay, they're still going." And
Yeah, so if
shorter
I'll
laps.
look at
Yeah.
well, there were 19 and 20 minutes. There are
Yeah.
lap times. So Phil, how it went was I'll go lap 1 through 8. So
Yeah.
Phil was first, second, second, first, second, second. So just battled all day. And
Just
that was
goes to
between
show,
him and
right?
Alex. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I mean, FMSQ, come on. I did meet a few people down in the States, and I'll talk about that more when I talk about Silver Kings. But, I was talking about FMSQ, and, a lot of people aren't aware of what it is. And I'm not sure if we touched on this in the last episode, but, check it out. It's like Canadian GNCC. It all runs in Quebec with one round in Ontario. And it's like, it's amazing. The quality of racing is huge. If you're on the Eastern Seaboard and you're looking for something to do over the GNCC break this summer, FMSQ's racing, and your dollar goes further in Canada substantially.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's really cool. I think there's a few opportunities that as Canadian series, like if we can build up the Canadian series and certain ones and that professionalism and make it worth their while, like there is some, America is not far away. Like
it is not.
Ryan, my cousin, he does a lot of hill climbing in the States, and a lot of those guys do off-road, cross-country, and enduro as well.
Yeah.
And we were just chit-chatting with them on our way to Manitoba because his next hill climb round, which is this weekend.
It's in North Dakota?
It's 40 minutes south of where we were staying in Manitoba.
Well, you think about it, like, what is it? 90% of the Canadian population lives within like 2-3 hours of the U.S. border or less. I think it's maybe like an hour. Like, So, I mean, it's not surprising we'd have a ton of racing nearby. Yeah, and like honestly, like the whole bit about your dollar going further, no joke. Like, you can come up here for cheap if you're coming from the U.S.
And our food is better, says Sean Whitcomb.
Well, there you go. Sean Whitcomb of HTR Gas and High Tech Motorsports in, is it Billings? Billings, Montana. That's right. Yeah. Who we need to have on the show. I've talked to him about it, and we need to get Sean on here. His kid did well. Kale did well in Idaho this last weekend. The other news that kind of plays into things for the Canadian scene on the ISDE side is Felicia Robichaud busted up her shoulder at round 3 of FMSQ and announced that she won't be able to race, or that sounds like her FMSQ season is done, which presumably may mean she can't go to Spain for ISDE for the Women's World Trophy team, which would put us we got 2 riders out with Lexi Pichot's knee injury. So I have not reached out to the manager, Lee Freiberger, to touch base on that. And I feel like a dork that I haven't. But I mean, obviously there's going to be some. Let's call him. Call him live. I don't know. Well, I do have his number. Let's not. He's probably out like working in the fields anyway.
That's right. I'm texting him right now.
Yeah, do it.
Oh, I want an official update.
He's gonna just say so I mean that does throw the women's side into chaos. I mean, you know, we talked a little bit about this last week when we were talking about Lexi. So I mean, Emma Sharpless presumably moves up to the trophy team, and then at this point, if Felice can't go, do you move up MC?
That would probably be the next
Yeah.
one to pull up. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and then we're down then we're down a club team.
Yeah. Then you just have one left on the club team.
Yeah. Courtney, is that something you think about, like jumping in last minute, or?
It's hard to say. You know, I mean, obviously at the beginning of the season, that was my intentions, was to do it, was to race on the club team, and just given, you know, life circumstances and the way things are going,
Well, what
I
happened
kind of
with Jared and Phil?
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
What happened with Jared and Phil? You know, I decided maybe it's just not my time yet, and so I decided to, you know, not put all my efforts into training that. And you know, my riding has been a lot more limited this year, especially just investing more of that time into the series, and I'm really trying to get more
Yeah.
of that seat time. But it's hard to say. I don't think I think if I'm going to do something like that and invest that much, you know, money, because it's not cheap as a Canadian rider to go over there. The
Yeah.
support is just not as much as you get in other countries. And I think I want to be able to be prepared to be all I can be, right? It's just not like me to go in and half-ass it kind of thing.
You just sounded like a Canadian Army recruiting ad. Remember? Be all that you can be.
Yeah. Legit. That's
Or was that
I just
I
couldn't
think
do
that was
that.
Canada.
Yeah, it's probably both.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I
Yeah.
mean, the other ISDE news that dropped is Bergamo, Italy for 2025, August 2025.
Yeah, I saw that.
Is Bergamo where you raced, Jared, or?
No, our first year was in Sardinia.
Bergamo.
And
Mario.
where was I in Italy the second year I went? Or the second time I went to Italy? I'm drawing a blank.
Sanremo.
I need Google. Lee says no update as an official update next week.
Next week? Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
And that's a promise.
And that's
So
Lee.
we'll hold him to it.
So we're going to hold Lee Freiberger, manager, Canadian ISDE. That's Lee Freiberger next week.
We're holding him accountable.
Holding him accountable. Amazing. Oh, that poor guy. We're going to be all over him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Italy 2025 is going to be sick in August. Yeah, the only thing, honestly, when I saw it, and I'm just going to look at the dates here again. 24 to 29 of August. That's usually when, I mean, that might be when Outliers is on, which would be really.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if the FIM would not run a hard enduro round when ISDE's on. I don't know how much crossover there is. That worries me though, because I love Outliers and I want to be there. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to want to be at ISDE too. So,
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Hopefully, teleportation will be invented by then. So,
well,
I'm pretty sure
you'll have so much staff. You'll have so much staff members by then. You'll be all over the world.
Yeah, that's the funniest thing I've heard ever. Dude, yeah. Who knows? Maybe if I win the lottery. So yeah, so I mean, Canadian ISDE. I saw Australia finally announced their ISDE team. Last year they only took the ladies. This year they're back with a full team for Spain, and it looks like a killer team. So watch out; they're going to be competitive. And our boy Gus Reardon, who was on our podcast a couple episodes ago, is going to be there. When we were recording, I did an edit so that we were like, oh, you know, good luck. Hope you make it on the team. But, you know, I knew he was on the team from talking with him. But
Who else
I
is
kinda
on the team? I actually haven't
I
looked.
browbeat it out of them. Hang on. I should have that in front of me. I don't. Just give me 1 second.
I'm testing you. That's why I asked.
Motorcycling Australia. I think the women's team might be a repeat of last year, which is going to be a great race between the U.S. women. News. Where are we here? Come on now. Let's go. News. Team Australia back to full strength. So the Women's World Trophy, Jessica Gardner, who is amazing. Taylor Jones, amazing. Danielle McDonald. I think that is the same team as last year.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
because McDonald is the young gal, right? She's
Yeah.
new to the team.
Yeah. And
I think she
maybe
was on a
there's
125 last year.
she was killing
Like,
it. Really?
Ripping.
Like on a 125. That's sick.
I think so.
The senior team, not a surprise to see Josh Strang on there.
Yeah.
Cooper Scheidau, Jonte Reinders, Kyron Bacon. Honestly, Josh Strang is the only guy I know out of that list. I will learn more about the other guys. And the junior team is going to be Corey McMahon, who's a gas rider, Angus Reardon, and William Dennett. So, I expect them to come guns blazing. So that'll be good. So yeah, that's, I think, the ISDE updates for this week. Moving along. NEPG, the National Enduro Promoters Group, ran last weekend in Ohio. And good news for Canada, Shelby Turner back on the podium. Back on P3. Super stoked for her. Finishing behind Rachel Archer from the Rocky Mountain Red Bear Kawasaki team, who is leading the GNCC series. Corey Steed, who is fast as all heck and is on the U.S. Women's Trophy team. And then Shelby. So, I mean, what a great result for her. I mean, I'm sure that feels amazing for her. She's going to be on her summer break. I know she's heading back. I'm looking forward to sitting down and talking with her about the first half of her season and what that meant. I think she's pretty stoked. And I mean, all signs are trending up for her on the individual side at ISDE, I would say. She is looking good for coming back from double knee surgery.
We should pull some data on what her times have been relative to those
To the American women.
top. Yeah, that'd be
to the
interesting
trophy team
to see.
riders. We'll have that next time. We'll do that.
Deal.
And then we can do some extrapolation, which will be awesome. I love that stuff. So definitely looking forward to that. And then her teammate, Josh Toth, was the overall winner there. I mean, that guy is a sick rider. I mean, really diverse skill set, hard enduro, sprint. I mean, that guy can ride.
Yeah,
no question.
He's got
I'm pretty sure
lot
he's
of pockets.
I think he's a pretty decent motocrosser as well. So,
yeah,
looking forward to seeing him in Spain as well, and maybe to race before then. So yeah, that was that. So for my side, like I said, I headed down to Idaho a week ago on the Wednesday, for Silver Kings Hard Enduro 2024. So yeah, I had a really good time. Enjoyed it. Great drive down. Beautiful drive from Calgary or from Alberta or BC down. There was a ton of people from Canada there. Lots of people from BC, lots of people from Alberta. It was awesome to see a lot of people. It's a big event. They have 500 racers spread across a gold pro class, silver, kind of like the high-end amateurs, and the bronze, which is, the people that are, a little less, hard enduro focused, I guess. That would be like the real amateurs, like the weekend warriors. Incredible venue. So it's at the Silver Mountain Resort in Kellogg, Idaho. And one of the cool things about the resort is that the resort itself is based in the town, and that's where the gondola goes from. So, everybody's camped out in the parking lot across the street from the gondola, and you ride up there in the morning. It's a super long ride. It used to be, I'm told, the longest gondola in the world, and then China decided they wanted the longest gondola in the world. So this is now the second longest gondola in the world and the longest in North America. It was a really beautiful ride. So I'd never been in Northern Idaho before. It's like Kelowna had a baby with Vancouver Island, and it's beautiful and awesome. There's like lakes, there's mountains, there's trees everywhere. It was sick. Like, The riding looks insane. The mountain biking, the ski terrain. So yeah, so you go up, you ride the gondola up for like 2 hours or whatever it is, like 30 something minutes. You get to the top and there's just like a little lodge up there, and that's about it for facilities. But it was really good. 3-day race. Day one, or well, I guess technically the prologue day. They race the prologue in the morning. The bronze riders do their first off-road race of 2 in the afternoon. Then that night is the parade and the street rhythm shootout, which is used on the pro side to seed start lines. So they start in groups of 5 because they get into the single track instantly. So you can't have everybody just charging in there. It would be mayhem and death. So yeah, and then the next day, every silver and gold have their first off-road races, their first hard enduro races, and bronze has their second. And then they take from bronze, if you finish in the top 30 and within 30 minutes of the first place finisher in bronze, you get to go through to the silver race, the big race on the Sunday, the main race. So yeah, it was good. I got down there and got set up. It was great. And yeah, I mean, one of the tough things about the race is that the organizers have made a big deal. They got a thing on their website says that, they're in a close partnership with WESS Promotions GmbH, which is the promoters / organizers, whatever you want to call it, of the FIM Hard Enduro World Championship. And that WESS wants to step up their footprint in North America, and that Silver Kings has been told that they're the next race to come in when the time comes. I've never seen anything from the FIM, like the West side, about this. So, take it at face value. I think a lot of people, and I'll talk about the racing for sure, because it was like, especially the last day, was great. But one of the things that really stood out was there's a lot of problems that people were pointing out and wanted to talk to me as the Enduro Bureau guy about in terms of organization and communication. It looked like, I got there and registration was supposed to close, I think, at 7:00, and I got there at 7, and it was still a massive lineup. Turns out people were in that line for like 2.5, 3 hours. I saw some of the top pros in that line. I was chatting with them. That was tough. That's a tough look when you come and you've spent like $500 US to race, and you're in line for hours, especially for someone like one of the top pros in the world, or some of the top pros on the US series. There was a lot of frustration there already. The rider meeting that night came out really late. I think like 10:30 or something like that, or 11 p.m. on Instagram. Not a ton of information, but whatever, it all worked. But some weird stuff. The rider briefings were generally late. There's confusion even in the pro ranks about how the race was going to be scored. What the path to the podium was. Was it motocross scoring? Was it cumulative time? If it was cumulative time, what was it cumulative of? Did the prologue count or not? Was it, what was it? And then, like even on like, final races Saturday, they raced Thursday, Friday, Saturday, even like, Friday afternoon. There were some pros that were unsure after they had raced the first race. One of the other kind of organizational thing that stood out to me, and again, there's a lot of positives about this race. Like, I'm not bagging on this race. I'm kind of talking in context of sort of what they say about they're going to be the next FIM round. And, there's a lot of sort of promotion of like what a great race this is, greatest race in North America during the weekend, during the race. And like I say, tons of positive. But the real, the one thing that really stood out for me was on Sunday, the riders meeting came out Saturday night, a little bit earlier than usual, like maybe 8 or 9 o'clock. And there's, again, not a ton of information in it. But the one thing that was like the real emphasis of, and I believe the line was, if there's one thing you have to know for tomorrow, the most important thing you have to know is 3 laps, 4-hour cutoff. 3 laps, 4-hour cutoff. That was like the message. It's like, okay. And then I had, standing up on the peak of Kellogg Mountain, which is the high point of the resort and the high point of the race where the finish line was. The race goes over it another way, but it finishes up at the top of it after a really steep climb up a wicked ski run. And I would say about the 2.5 hour mark of the race, the organizer is standing up there and announces that it's now gone to a 5-hour cutoff for the golds. And that kind of, it was like, oh, well, what? Like, how do you, it was tough. Like, I was trying to understand, like, how you change a race distance mid-race if it's not for a safety or weather-related issue where you would shorten it, like, there's like a big lightning storm coming or there's like whatever, so and I think the only thing, no one said so, but the only thing that kind of came to my mind is it was becoming apparent that no one was going to get to the finish, to the actual finish up the top of the climb, which as a promoter, I sympathize. Like, that's kind of, it'd be like Outliers with the extinction loop and nobody comes up the final mountain to the big Red Bull banner.
Yeah.
That would blow. As a promoter, you're like, it's not a good look. But as a result, so by changing it, Trystan made it about 15 or 20 minutes after the original 4-hour time cut.
Oh, wow.
And then Ryder LeBlanc was second. He made it, and Will Reardon made it in third place. So that, that was really weird. And I don't know that, and I was thinking all these things, like, you're out there, you're racing hard enduro on this mountain. You've got fuel strategy, you've got tire management strategy, you've got race strategy based on 3 laps, 4 hours. The one thing you needed to know. And that it just felt, like with that and some of the communication issues and some of the lack of information that was out there, this is a great race, but it's not ready for prime time is what I kept thinking, like, not quite ready for prime time. And there was a lot of people that were, that I talked to that were pretty pissed about it.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, but there's the thing, you've got a race that, they got I think they had like a 200 person waiting list or something. So, even if people vote with their feet, is it going to be enough? Like I say, I mean, just as a racing venue, it's awesome. The ski resort is incredible. The town's so cool. They're so into it. There's a lot of community support. Great spot, beautiful. Like, I would go back there in a heartbeat. Loved it. Like, I kind of want to go skiing there this winter and check it out that way. But yeah, like, I think in order to be like an FIM round, yeah, they got some work to do on the organizational side, which is, and you guys are promoters and organizers, and I, certainly am not asking you, and I don't, like I said, I don't want this to be like bagging on the race. This to me is like, it was a big issue, especially that change of the race distance or time. Sorry, the cutoff time was that's a big story to me.
Yeah.
And it just like, and it said it was running under AMA rules. I looked in the AMA rule book and I couldn't find anything specifically said that the announced race distance or announced race time is the race time. But I think doing it mid-race and like, it was tough communicating it to people, and there was confusion as to did it apply to everyone or just the golds? Like, was it the silvers as well? And, it was kind of chaos a little bit. And, I don't know, like, from your perspective, the thing I took away from it is like organization and communication, and probably communication first is your biggest tool in your toolbox as an organizer.
Yeah. I would think, from an outsider perspective, like not being there and not really knowing much about that, they have that race year after year. Yeah, it's not like the first kick at the can there.
No. It's this year though. It's interesting because it's the first year they were not part of the U.S. series. It's not part of the U.S. Hard Enduro series, whether it's Premier or West.
Yeah,
and I think
it was
that's
just
part of their
separate
move
deal.
where they're trying to move to the FIM. Is my guess.
Yeah, because I did listen to a podcast that they put out about that event, and yeah, I think I don't know. I've been involved in organizing so many races where things kind of get what's the word
things always go sideways. Something's always going to go wrong. Always.
Yeah, exactly. And you're kind of making those game time decisions. And I think, what you said is communication and organization. And to me, it just makes me like think about with putting on races is like, almost got to have that what if factor.
Yep.
And then build out multiple scenarios in your communication plan. If this happens, it shouldn't. There's a 10% chance that it does, but if it does happen, what can we do to broadcast and communicate and rebound as quickly as possible?
Yeah.
Is
And
it just that's all I can think about.
and that's it. And if you've got like, 250 to 500 people out on a mountain and a whole bunch of fans out on the mountain and moving around, like, yeah, you need to have like, even a race like your guys' race are relatively low scale, right? Like small scale,
Yeah.
growing, but smaller scale. But it's like you got to have like that dedicated communications person, which I think you do. Like you guys, Robin would fill that role for you guys pretty much throughout
On
the
the mic.
day on the mic and like communicating. And yeah, I mean, it's tough. Like I have a lot of sympathy for them, but yeah, it's almost like, I would say to any organizer, like maybe like make sure everything's locked down tight on the race side before you get into the cool promoter stuff like custom jerseys and, custom brewed beer and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, I think
but it is,
you
it's an
got to have it
awesome
all.
event. It is an awesome event. I hope that I don't really have a sense. Like I know a lot of people that I talked to were pretty bummed out throughout the weekend about the registration, about the lack of communication, the lack of information in the rider meetings and stuff like that. And it's too bad because it overshadows this amazing venue and what on Saturday, the main race was such an amazing race. And it was Trystan Hart. I mean, Trystan Hart was amazing. He actually didn't have a great prologue. He didn't do well at the street rhythm as he would have wanted. He didn't make it to the final round. He went out either in the quarter or the semifinal. A little unexpectedly. I think people were a little shocked that he went out. But I mean, that was a great race too. The street rhythm, like the Enduro Cross downtown after their big rowdy parade through the town.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Colton Haker was on a rampage. Like it's his home
Yeah, it
race.
looked
He lives
gnarly.
he's from like, Coeur d'Alene, I think, Coeur d'Alene area. So just like, half hour, 45 minutes away. And like he was locked in. Like it was like he was racing like there was no way he was going to lose this thing. He was either just going to, win or die trying.
Yeah.
And he was on the ragged edge like the whole time and had some great sendy moves and found a way. It was an amazing guy. And he was like full Colton, like just funny. Like, he puts on like this quasi pro wrestler persona afterwards for his first like kind of quick hit interview. And, it was excellent. And that was, job done for him. $3,000 in his pocket. Thank you very much. Beat his teammate Ryder LeBlond, who's a great young sendy racer who we should be having on pretty soon. And and then you go to the Saturday race. Trystan won that handily, like no question. There was he was gone. That was weird too, though. So Saturday race, they finish up, and I'm making sure, like I'm like whatever I do, I got to get to the finish line because I want to get those like finish line little talking head things and be there for that moment. And I got there, and it was bizarre. Like if you look, I posted it up in my story. I don't think I posted it as a reel, and maybe I will. Trystan finishes, and the only people that were there was two people from the race that were trying to direct people, out onto the lap, the silver racers and silver racers that were still out there, and golds that were still had another lap to go. And it was then it was that, and then the KTM group mechanics, and that was pretty much it at the finish line. So in the end, it was Will Reardon's mechanic, Nigel, who was had to wave the finish flag for Trystan coming over the line.
Strange.
So yeah, when you look at the video, and there's like no one there. There's one other dude kind of standing up the hill. And actually, like I saw a picture that this guy posted. I'm like, oh, I think it's one of our followers. So if that was you standing there for the finish, just up the hill on the finish of day one of off-road racing, hey, it was cool seeing you. I wish I'd known. I would have high-fived you for sure. But yeah, that was really weird. And like you're standing there and there's just like nothing. There was nobody.
That's bizarre.
Like, yeah. So it was cool because like, I had like Will and Trystan and Ryder and Alfredo Gomez and Riley Bender all to myself. So that was cool. It was good for me. But
yeah,
it was just weird. There's like nobody there. Like it was bizarre.
Sounds strange there.
Yeah. And I know, and like you were saying about bottlenecks, this is the first year that Silver Kings has gone to laps. Usually it's just like a big loop. And
Yeah.
for me, I was stoked that it was laps because that's always better for me. I get, it's easier for me to try and get footage or photos or understand what's going on.
Yeah.
But I think, maybe there were so many people on the course on the day one off-road race because they hadn't eliminated anyone yet, that they ran into some really bad bottleneck issues. Then I know like some of those top guys, the top finishers, were commenting on the bottlenecks and that day wasn't really hard enduro. The biggest obstacle on the course was the lappers. So
Interesting.
yeah, but
Yeah,
I think,
maybe that threw a bit of a wrench in things too. If
yeah,
changing the format that drastically was something that was unforeseen in a lot of things, maybe in how the race happened. Yeah.
oh, definitely. And like, yeah, things like that are going to happen, and there's ways around it. And it didn't seem like it was an issue on the main day, so that was good news. A
Yeah.
few less people on the mountain, and more of a selective course is going to do that. But yeah, what a great race on Saturday, the main race. Trystan was dominating, like he was gone. On lap 1, I was standing down in this Milo Creek fairly early in the lap, and he came through and he already had like you know 2 minutes on the field, and he was gone. There was nothing that was looking like it was going to stop him. But it was funny because I was standing up on top of Kellogg Mountain there, and just before they announced the extension of the cutoff time, all of a sudden his family and friends started like scurrying around, and I was like, "What's going on?" And it turns out Trystan disintegrated the bib in his rear tire with I think over a lap to go, or just about a lap to go, and it was like just totally dust, and just
Hmm.
from the heat, the speed, and like the rocks on the course, like it just melted in there, I think.
Hmm.
So it was amazing. So Gage Key, who races for Sean Whitcomb at HGR Gas, he was there not racing, but he was helping all of the top pros, like just running around like a madman. It was hilarious. And he and Tristan's sister started becoming logistical masters. Like they were tracking Trystan through a phone. Tristan's phone was in his pack, so they could, track him through Find My Friend, where exactly he was, and then get word back to the mechanics to get a wheel. So they had to take a wheel from up at the top of the course, from the pit stop, which is close to the gondola. They had to ride a lift down and then get it over from the lift to this spot on the course. And it just worked out. Like they did a great job in panic of like 15 minutes of getting the wheel right to where Trystan was right at the right time.
That
And
sounds fun.
saved the race. Like he had a huge lead, and he still had a big lead when he finished, but it had been shortened up a little bit. Will, a rider, was a solid second place ahead of Will. But it's curious again too, like they're scoring, they don't show like time in and out of every time at every checkpoint. It's just, here's how many checks they did and here's how long they were out there.
Right.
So if you did all the checkpoints and you're first there, you win, and they kind of work it out from there. I mean, not complicated. But with the race going longer, I know that Ryder was chasing Will for a long time and couldn't get to him. I don't think it would have altered the result. Like I think the pass was made before the original cutoff time. But the race for 4th and 5th was amazing. Boy, from and again, like I was talking, you're not supposed to fan out as media, but I fan out for the Kauai Racing Development Team. It's a great story. I love those guys, and their families are awesome. Boy was hammering and beat Alfredo Gomez to come
Oh
in
wow.
P4 overall. And that to me was like, apart from Trystan winning, that was the biggest story of the day. Like that's a huge breakthrough ride for that team and for that rider. Rider Guest, who's the other KRD rider there, came P7 overall. Like great result again. But I'm curious, like, because Boy and Alfredo were close together. Alfredo actually was ahead of Kana, but on the Kana started on the row behind him and beat him on the time differential. So
Oh yeah.
depending on where the time differential was at the 4-hour point, that could have been a position swap. We just don't know. So I actually did email them to ask if they had timing from the checkpoints that I could look at, just to sort of help tell the story of the race through the data and things like that. But never heard back, and it is what it is. But it is unfortunate because it does leave questions, right? So,
yeah, for sure. It would be nice to be able to break it down.
yeah. But anyway, like, what a great time. I had so much fun sleeping in the back of the Nissan Rogue. Worked out well. Porta potties were pretty grim, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh,
But I got to it was cool though. Like, for us as a group, I met a lot of people in the States who listen to our podcast, like, people from like the Bay Area, people from all over, like, were like,
oh,
saw my
cool.
t-shirt or my ball cap. They're like, "Hey, are you Jared or Noel?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm Noel." Like, you got that podcast? I was like, "Yeah, the Enduro Bureau. Yeah, like the pink one on Spotify." I was like, "That's it."
That's funny.
So yeah, and like a couple times I had people shout at me from the lifts, like, "Hey, Enduro Bureau guy." And I was like, "What do I even do with this? Like, I'm a Z-list internet celebrity."
It's probably a
Sorry,
good thing
and for
they
the
didn't
Americans,
ask
it's
if
Z-list.
it's probably a good thing they didn't ask if you were Courtney. It's a
Yeah.
compliment.
What is that supposed to mean?
Yeah.
Because
Domestic fight.
like if they walk up to Noel and say, "Hey, are you Courtney?"
Yeah, I'd be like, "I'm so pretty." So yeah, I mean, it was really cool. A lot of people said to say hi to you guys. So that was really bizarre. That's the first time
Wicked.
I've gone somewhere and people have been like, "Oh, hey," and like, I'd be sitting in the coffee shop in the morning, people would come up, or on the gondola or wherever, right? Like, it was amazing. It was
Maybe
really
you should
cool.
ask those folks from the Bay if they have a little place we can come stay at and move.
How about just like a tech tip? Silicon
Yeah.
Valley stock tech tip. Stock tip. No, man, we couldn't afford to live down there. Are you kidding?
Can't we be bums?
No. If I'm
Oh,
going to be a bum, I
Live-
want to be a
live in a
bum
van.
somewhere where I can afford to live. I think even in the van, I couldn't live there. So coming up in the enduro world, the big race this weekend is the Howdy Desert Race in Australia, which is
Oh, yeah.
fun. Gus Reardon, who was on our podcast, he's going to be racing. I think he was 4th last year. Will Reardon told me he's racing, so he was
Yeah.
leaving from the race. I think he had a day or so, and then he was going to head home to Australia. It's pretty
I saw
close.
them both practicing
Yeah,
on Instagram. Yeah, rip it.
yeah. I mean, amazing, right? I wish I was going. But I'm actually going to the rodeo this weekend at the Calgary Stampede, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Whoa.
And my boots, my hat. It's gonna be awesome.
Where'd you score those tickets?
Dude, management here at home has access, so that was good. Yeah.
I thought maybe somebody gave you some Enduro Bureau comp tickets and you didn't tell us.
But the only person I know that could maybe do that would be the Dr. Mike Roberts.
Yeah.
So
He's going. He's actually going.
Yeah, but there's no Enduro
When's he
Bureau
going?
comp tickets.
So,
I mean,
I don't know. They did mention that they were
the
going.
whole crew. Yeah, and then the doctor's business was having their big Stampede breakfast. That might have been today.
Yes.
no, that's on Wednesday.
It's,
No.
Wednesday next week.
it's coming up. They said I gotta check my message again,
There's
but
breakfast, and
Are you guys
there's
gonna
also
go?
something else.
well, I'd like to attend and
I'm gonna try and go.
enjoy the festivities.
If I haven't missed it, I'm gonna try and attend, because never miss an opportunity to say hi to the doctor.
Exactly, and I haven't worn cowboy boots in probably like 10 years, so
Right on.
I
I got a new hat this year, so I'm pretty stoked. And then your guys' first cross country race is coming up. Not this weekend, but the weekend after. We're doing this on July 4th, by the way. Happy Independence Day, America.
Happy
yeah.
Independence Day. Yes.
What?
We got our first event. We got our first cross country with part of the cross series. I just polished off 3 of our sprints. Now we're finishing off the rest of the year with 2 cross country. So July 13th, 14th out at the Harvest Hustle is where it's going to be up by Pinoca. And we start to set up location on Monday. Monday's the day. We're actually having a team meeting with Dr. Roberts and his manager, the wife.
Management.
On
Yep,
Sunday. Yeah.
Very good. Man, I wish I could come out. I want to be a part of the team.
Well, come and be a part of the
I'll
team.
be there
You
for the
are.
race. I will be there for the race. I'm gonna try and come up The main racing's on Sunday. I'm gonna try and come up Saturday night if I can to
You're welcome out
sleep in the
anytime.
sleep in the Rogue, and do some hanging out, and maybe do like a little course preview stuff.
And just so you know, every morning I make everyone our homemade waffles, protein waffles.
Like
So
even on
come.
Sunday.
Uh, no,
Yeah,
actually.
so I'm gonna miss the waffle.
Yeah.
Damn it.
What? We still do it on Sunday, don't we?
No, not race day. I'm up too early.
Oh yeah,
And
we don't eat a thing on race day.
no, usually my dad is out there feeding us burgers and making us eat because we didn't eat anything on Sunday.
Well, maybe I'll have to do a. How far from Ponoka is the race? Like driving time?
About 25 minutes to
Oof.
the east.
To the Timmies? to the Timmy
To
Hortons?
the east.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I don't know. I actually have no idea.
I'll just
good question.
I'll get someone to bring me some Timmies on their way up. Give me some Timmy
Or-
hose.
Go to our camper and make a coffee. You can have a coffee in there.
Okay.
Or my dad's making coffee. He'll have
Well,
coffee.
yeah,
I'll make sure you get
that'll
one.
be set up. Does he sell like breakfast sandwiches and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, I'll just do that. Yeah, that's easy. I don't need Timmies.
Daryl's Burgers and
Daryl's.
breakfast.
Daryl's deals.
Yeah, Daryl's deals.
I wanted to call it. I'm trying to get him to sell strictly hot dogs and call it Daryl's Dongs, but nobody wants.
No,
I'm in. I am in.
No,
I'm
pass.
in. Yes. Could you make a
Not
t-shirt with
comfortable.
that? Let's make t-shirts and sell them on the site. Daryl's Dongs.
He gets me to make him t-shirts, and he's obsessed with Sasquatches, and he's like, make sure you get a Sasquatch t-shirt. And I made him like 3 of them.
So a Sasquatch with a big hot dog?
It's always giving the middle finger. No dongs, just a Sasquatch giving the middle finger.
That's all I'm gonna order this weekend. I'm gonna be like, hey, I need dongs. How much for a dong?
I heard you sell special Daryl dongs here.
Yeah.
No.
I heard you got t-shirts. Let's go.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be the racing is GNCC style.
Yeah.
Are you gonna have three starts on the day or on Sunday? Or 2?
Yeah, so Sunday, Saturday's going to be the Pee-wee and youth.
Yep.
And then Sunday we'll have 2 starts. We're going to have some AB classes in the morning, and then in the afternoon
10 o'clock-ish, and then like a 1 o'clock start sort of thing, or?
Yeah, you bet. Cool. And then men's pro, vet A, expert, intermediate will be in the afternoon, and then we'll do forts and everything after. So.
Well, let's talk about the race. Like, how do you have you've probably mapped out like a tentative course on the Google Maps, satellite type stuff?
Not yet. I haven't been there enough to know my way around. I know there is. I have a general square area that I've gotten to take a look at on a map. So
yeah,
it'll be a good mix of some. I think primarily treed areas that we're gonna put some new trail through.
Yep.
And then I believe there's some pasture or some farmland that we can make a grass track area into. So I'm shooting for whatever we have for room, but like 10K would be probably 10 to 12K was probably all like the max we can fit into the location, but we'll get as best as we can in there.
So what kind of pro lap time do you think that's going to work out to be ballpark?
Oh gosh.
Like 10 to 15 minute kind of thing, or
probably, yeah.
Yeah.
It would be like the shortest I'd like to see.
Oh, okay. Yeah, for sure. For that kind of racing, definitely.
Yeah. So we'll try our best. We're like, I know they held a race out there before, and like it was a pretty short loop, so that's why we plan on adding in with our style of being able to ribbon in the course. So we'll be able to utilize a lot of the property through the trees more than say just this single trail ribbon to the trees. So we'll be able to have some back and forths and some
cool
up and downs, and get a bit longer.
And then how long are the races on the 2 starts?
Oh, the first one, the AB class will be 2-hour cutoff, and then the other half of the day will be 2.5-hour cutoff.
And that'll be like experts and like the fast masters and the pros. Sorry, how long was that cutoff? 3?
2.5.
2
We were gonna do 3, but depending on we were talking about how our day was going to go, and it just made more sense to make sure we were on time with everything and not having
Yep.
everyone there too late on a Sunday.
Yeah.
2.5 hour cut
Well,
off
I'd
because then
recommend
yeah.
don't change it to 3 midway through the race.
Oh, definitely won't do
Be
that.
so deflating.
So the only other
I'd be
reason
calling you out so hard.
another reason why we say that too is because with these types of cross country races, you come in and say you're 2 hours and 28 minutes, right?
Yeah,
You can go
you're
out and do
still gonna
another
get
lap.
around. Yeah.
Yeah, which it always happens that way.
Well, I'm pretty stoked for it. The other thing coming up is this weekend here in Alberta is round oh gosh, I've
4?
lost track of round 4 of the Western Off-Road Championship Series
Yes.
and round 3 or 4 of the AMSA Provincial Series at the Tombstone race, which is run
Tombstone.
by the gems of
40 and Melissa.
Steve Ford and Melissa Harton.
Yeah.
Yeah, Melissa did well at Silver Kings. She finished, I think, 3rd or 4th overall in women,
3rd.
but 3rd. And she was struggling though. Like she has a wrist injury, and she put it up on Instagram. And
Yeah.
I know it was really touch and go whether she would even start on the main race on Saturday. So I was sort of
What a
wasn't sure
trooper.
until she came through that she was actually racing that day. So she's out for a while now because of that, which is unfortunate. But hopefully she'll be ready for Enduro Cross because that's a big deal for her. Very excited.
Yeah. So they're busy this week setting up
They are
course.
busy this week. Yeah.
Warriors.
I feel really bad I can't make it because I do have a previous commitment with here at home with management. So
Yeah.
and like I talked to them, I was like, I don't think I can make it, or it's gonna be a little touch and go. And I feel really bad about it. I want to get to as many races as I can, especially ones in my backyard and big events like Western Off-Road Championship to me is a big deal. I think it's gonna be great. I'll do my best to, talk about it from afar next week. I'll definitely talk to 40 and Melissa about how it went and some of the people I know who are going to be racing and try and put together a story to tell about that. But yeah, unfortunately I can't make it, but I will be at your guys' race. And then I'm, your race in mid-August, your second cross-country race, the last round of the series. I'll be
Valley.
at. Yeah. And then, and then it's kind of figuring it out as I go into, I think at that point I'm really going into hardcore ISDE prep mode.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'm excited.
Really?
So Ryan McCasland is a big time awesome videographer and photographer in the off-road world. Really tight into the hard enduro community. Really good guy. And we were talking. It was good to see him at the race in Idaho. And I was actually just talking with him today about coming on the podcast and talk about, what it's like from his perspective. And he's been to so many cool races, like whether it's Baja or whatever. And it turns out he was telling me he's going ISD as well.
Oh, cool.
So
That's
really
awesome.
excited about that. So I think you guys will really enjoy talking to him when we get him on. Really, it'll be a different perspective. Us guys talking about that kind of creative side of the house and and he'll have amazing stories about the stuff he's gone and seen and done. So really excited for that.
I know one thing we might have forgot to talk about too was we had the same weekend as the race that you're at in Idaho, the Maze Runner.
Oh my God. Yeah, we did forget to talk about that. Yeah, the Maze Runner. A really, a classic Alberta hard enduro. Went off. I know Brandon Petrie, Hard Enduro Outfitters.
Yeah.
Won it. Good Canadian boy. He was home in Alberta. So I was glad to see him out there doing it. Funny story. Talking with the Hart family at the race on Saturday, they were still debating, like Trystan really wanted to do the awards, get in the van, drive overnight and race Maze Runner.
No way.
It was really like, I thought he was going to go. He was pretty sure of it. And
close.
Then he won. And it's like,
Yeah.
I think he really wanted to be there to support it and because it's a good race. So, I think, and definitely I know like a lot of the other kind of guys from that were asking about it a little bit and kind of like Oh yeah, what's that about? And so who knows? Hopefully next year bigger and better for Mitch, and hopefully it doesn't overlap with something else I got to be at because I really
Yeah.
want to be there. That'll be a good
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
So yeah. What else? I'm trying to think if there's anything that kind of missed there.
Yeah, it's
I think
a
really,
lot of
I mean,
racing over the last couple weeks.
yeah, we'll have to get Owen on and Phil on to talk about what's been going on at FMSQ. Maybe we can arrange that for
Yeah.
them to just jump in for a little bit next week. And yeah, I got some other people I've been talking to line up. I got to firm that up. I'm pretty excited about, and then away we go. I mean, before we know it, it's going to be September. It's I know it's July 4th, but like all of a sudden it's going to be like, bam.
I know. I'm excited for it, but it's also, it's just been straight hustle, hair back, let's go. It's been so busy.
All the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, look, awesome as always to see you guys. This was kind of a rapid fire one. We didn't have a guest, but that's okay. I kind of like it sometimes when we don't have a guest and we get to just shoot the shit a little bit. And we got to talk about Daryl's dongs.
Oh my God.
It's gonna stick. It's gonna stick.
No.
Maybe that's going to be the episode title. Daryl's dongs.
Oh my God. I love his dial here. No.
It's finally getting traction.
But anyways, he does. If you guys come to our races, he makes great hamburgers.
He does.
Not hot dogs.
He has hot dogs.
Does he have hot dogs? Oh, he does.
I think I had one. It was good too.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, no.
It's tough though. Like I'm always like just running around trying to like get stuff. So I got to make time to eat myself, just like you guys.
Yeah.
The thing I usually have to eat at your races is like I grab a couple of the gels from the registration.
The Rhino Power.
The Rhino Power gels. I love them. Like the what is it? Like the lemon meringue
salted
one?
caramel.
Lemon meringue and salted caramel.
Lemon meringue's my jam. Like I'm a lemon meringue.
Yeah. No, makes sense.
All right. Well, look. Hey, good to see you guys. Have a great night, and we will talk soon. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Peace out.
Bye.
Ciao.